Ako si Marites Bakiran, EPS sa Filipino. Nagbibigay po guys sa Legislative District na buo ang suporta sa Radyo Eskwela sa Isabela. Gandang isip, gandang bukas.
Communication Hub and Literary Arts Center of Isabela. English Academy.
An analogy describes the relationship between words. Subject, verb, or teacher.
One hand. English Academy.
Welcome to English Academy, my grade 8 learners. This is Miss Camille K. M. Villamera, your radio teacher for this episode. I'll be your guide throughout our discussion, only here in Radyo Eskwela sa Isabela. Let's start our day with positivity and happiness. I want you to stand, wave your hands in the air, and jump 5 times. Are you awake now? That's great! Please keep your eyes and ears open throughout our discussion for today. Here are 3 reminders you need to follow during our discussion. Are you ready to listen?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good! Number 1. Prepare your pen or pencil together with your learning activity sheet in English. Number 2. Prepare your snacks in case you feel hungry. And number 3. Focus on our lesson physically and mentally. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to remind everyone that in every activity during our discussion, you'll earn 5 points. Prepare a clean sheet of paper. Kindly write the date today, the time we started, and the time we ended. Then, write my name as your radio teacher, Miss Camille K. M. Villamera. The title of our episode, which is Determine the various social, moral, and economic issues discussed in the text listened to. After this episode, count your points and write this in a clean sheet of paper you have prepared and attach it to your answer sheet in English. Very good! Tell your classmates to listen to our discussion for today and earn the same points. Isn't it amazing? Learning while earning. Now, I'll give you a minute to call or text your classmates to tune in on the radio on this station, DWDY, or on our social media account, Radyo Eskwela sa Isabela Facebook page. Your time starts now. Time's up! Did you contact them? If yes, you get 5 points. Now, before we finally start our lesson, I want you to assess yourselves on how you listen. Stand if the sentence that I am going to read corresponds to your listening habit. And just sit still if it is not one of your listening habits. If you're ready, stomp your feet 3 times. Number 1. Do I listen attentively to other person's point of view? Is it a yes or a no? Okay, I guess some of you remained seated and most of you stood up. That's nice. Class, remember that when someone is speaking, you need to listen attentively so that when it's your turn to speak, they will give back the favor. Number 2. Do I avoid interrupting when another person is talking? Who stood up? Nice. I guess all of you know the word respect when someone is talking. For number 3, do I try to be open-minded to others' opinion? Is it a yes or a no? Great! Being open-minded lessens the misunderstanding with each other. To those who remain seated, maybe you need to try being an open-minded person, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Number 4. Do I ask questions to clarify the things I never understood? Is it a yes or a no? Amazing! You need to practice asking questions if something is bothering you or if you didn't clearly understand what other people say. So make this a habit. Don't pretend to understand something even if you don't. And for the last number, do I try to distinguish fact and opinion? Is this one of your habits in listening or not? I guess most of you remain seated. Maybe because you found it difficult to distinguish fact from opinion. Well, that's understandable for now. So from now on, please practice how to distinguish facts from opinion for you not to be fooled. It may be difficult, but there's no harm in trying. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations everyone for being so participative. And because of that, I give you 5 points. Keep up the good work. At this point in time, you're expected to determine the various social, moral, and economic issues discussed in the text listened to. In this lesson, you will find out how critical understanding and appreciation of Afro-Asian literary pieces that can help you recognize the temperament and psyche of our Arab and Israeli neighbors in response to the challenges of modernity. Are you excited with our lesson for today? If you're that excited, please stand and jump 3 times. Great! Now, may I have your attention, please? As I start discussing, please listen very well, because I'll be asking questions that correspond to 5 points each, if you answered them correctly. Does any one of you know what Arab poetry means? If none, let me introduce to you the Arab poetry. Poetry is the greatest expression of literary art that Arabs have mastered in Arabic poetry. This sophisticated rhythmic literature is a form of preservation of history, traditions, and social values. It is one of the most important aspects of Arab culture, especially in Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states. Based on what you have heard, poetry is a form of what? Oh, very good! It is a form of preservation of history, traditions, and social values. Ancient Arabic poems are still well preserved, and they have become an inspiration for many Arab musicians, specifically when it is about anatomically poem. There are many modern songs created based on Old Arabic, which enable people to commemorate and enjoy the whispers of the ages of these melodic ancient poems. Class, in your own opinion, how can you preserve a poem or a literary piece? That is right! We can preserve literary pieces by consistently reading and sharing them to others, especially to the young ones, for us not to forget history, which has made a big impact into what we have right now. Arabic poetry is based largely on harmonies of sounds and striking turns of phrasing. A poet's fame depended upon a few brilliant couplets rather than any sustained melody or long continued flights of noble thought. One distinguished philosophical poem of some length is the well-known Lament of the Bashir, Abu Ismail. Class, I said a while back that a poet's fame depended upon a few brilliant couplets, didn't I? When we say couplet, what does it mean? Absolutely! A couplet is a pair of successive lines in meter of poetry. A couplet usually consists of two successive lines that rhyme and have the same meter. Did I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I am going to read the Arabic poem with the title The Song of Maysuna, written by Maysuna, and the poem on Fatalism, written by Imam Shafi'i Muhammad bin Idris. Prepare yourselves now and listen with comprehension. The Song of Maysuna by Maysuna. The russet suit of camel's hair, with spirit's light and eyes serene, is dearer to my bosom far than all the trappings of a queen. The humble tent and murmuring breeze that whistles through its fluttering walls, my unaspiring fancy, please better than the towers and splendid halls. The attendant colts that bounding fly and frolic by the litter side are dearer in Maysuna's eye than gorgeous mules in all their pride. The watchdog's voice that pays whenever a stranger seeks his master's cots sounds sweeter in Maysuna's ear than yonder trumpet's long-drawn notes. The rustic youth, unspoiled by arts, son of my kindred, poor but free, will ever to Maysuna's heart be dearer, pampered full than thee. Did you understand the poem? Very good. The second poem was written by Imam Shafi'i Muhammad bin Idris on fatalism. Not always wealth, nor always force, a splendid destiny commands. The lordly vulture gnaws the corpse that rots upon the barren sands. Nor does want or weakness always conspire to bind us to a sordid state. The fly that with a touch expires sips honey from the royal plate. Did you get the meaning behind the poem that I just read?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice! To know deeper what does these poems mean, let's try to analyze them. Poetry analysis is examining the independent elements of a poem to understand the literary work in its entirety. Analyzing poems line by line allows you to break poems down in order to study their structure, form, language, metrical pattern, and theme. But wait, do you already know the purpose of analyzing poems?
Yes, ma'am.
That's right! The purpose of literary analysis is to interpret the meaning of a poem and appreciate it on a deeper level. Let's start and dig deeper. The first poem was written by Maysuna herself. Maysuna was a daughter of the tribe of Kalab, a tribe according to Abulfeda, remarkable both for the purity of dialect spoken in it and for the number of poets it had produced. At a young age, she got married to the Caliph Muawiyah. But this exalted situation by no means suited the disposition of Maysuna, and amidst all the pomp and the splendor of Damascus, she languished for the simple pleasures of her native desert. These feelings gave birth to the previous simple stanzas, which she took the greatest delight in singing, whenever she could find an opportunity to indulge in her melancholy in private. She was unfortunately overheard one day by Muawiyah, who was of course not a little offended with such a discovery of his wife's sentiments, and as a punishment for her fault, he ordered her to retire from court. Maysuna immediately obeyed, and taking her infant son Yazid with her, returned to Yemen, nor did she revisit Damascus till after the death of Muawiyah, when Yazid ascended the throne. The Song of Maysuna was all about the queen, who who wanted to live simply. The queen said that it is better to sit on a camel than on the throne of a king. She would prefer a tent to a prestigious palace. She'd rather a colt than a mighty steed. It is even more comforting to hear a dog's bark than the pompous trumpets from a castle. Wealth cannot buy us happiness, similar to Maisuna, who despite receiving the luxuries of life, still craved the tranquility of an orthodox living. She favored the sheer beauty of the world rather than the shimmering gold. Unlike others, she didn't like being looked up to and praised by the masses. Now, did you clearly understand what does the poem The Song of Maisuna means?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good to know. See? Analyzing a poem is a big help to each one of us. Alright, let's proceed to the second poem on fatalism, written by Imam Shafii Muhammad bin Idris. The poem shows morality and being conscious of how we should spend our lives. No matter how high we come, what zeniths we may reach, we will all go down someday. Whether you become the most opulent emperor or a destitute beggar, that will still knock on your door. When the time comes, there is no stopping it. Be you a monarch applauded by all or an averted mendicant. Some things are unalterable. Having the knowledge that we are all going to die, what we do or how we live does not matter anymore. Even though you spend it with luxury or contented with what you have now, we cannot escape the coming of death. A man's passing may be compared to an earthquake. You'll never know when it's going to happen. No deterrent will apprise us when we are about to expire. As they say, only God knows when and how we reach our quotas. Congratulations for making it this far, my grade 8 learners. At this point, I want you to bring out a clean sheet of paper. Class, for 50 points. Compare and contrast the poems, The Song of Maisuna and On Fatalism by identifying their social, moral, and economic issues. Use a Venn diagram. I will give you 3 minutes to finish this activity. Time's up! Let's see if your answers are correct. I want you to grade yourselves. Be honest in checking your own paper. So, both texts revealed some traits of the Arab people. They are contented of what they have in their lives. They want a simple life like Maysuna. However, there are Arabs who want a wealthy life. Arabians also believe that everything will come to its end. Death does not recognize any high position or richness of any kind. Each of us will die eventually. These poems taught us the difference between a wealthy and a simple life, and how our choices affect the kind of life we want to have. If you got this correctly, or we have the same ideas, give yourselves 50 points. Congratulations, my grade 8 learners! Keep up the good work. And don't lose the faith in learning even in this time of pandemic. Give yourselves a round of applause. Before I end this episode, let's have a recap of what we have tackled for today. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do it! What is the importance of analyzing a poem? Great! The purpose of literary analysis is to interpret the meaning of a poem and appreciate it on a deeper level, and for us to understand it clearly. Based on the poem that we discussed a while back, do you prefer living a wealthy life, but you are unhappy? Or living a simple life, but you get everything you need to be happy? And why? Write your opinion on your paper. Just write what you truly feel. It doesn't matter if it's short or lengthy, as long as you can express yourselves and you are satisfied with your work. Congratulations, my grade 8 learners! I am so proud and impressed by your eagerness to learn even during this pandemic. I hope you learned a lot today. And please, don't forget to review this lesson before sleeping later so that your knowledge will not be temporary. Use this in your daily activities if possible, for you to be able to remember everything for a long period of time. This has been Miss Camille K.M. Villamera, the SDO Isabela RBI production team of English Academy, leaving you the words. Stay healthy and stay safe. Goodbye and thank you.
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela.
Subject, verb, teacher, on air.